Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask a Property Manager, episode 15. Today is April 8th, 2020. Coming to you from the Studio 1.0 here at Own Buffalo. I'm Andrew Schultz, principal broker of Own Buffalo, and on today's show, we're going to be discussing the current state of the real estate market, Stinky apartments, and bringing tech to your leasing. Before we jump into that, we'll plug our social media. New episodes of Ask a Property Manager hit every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can find those live on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Buffalo Foreclosed Homes. If you're watching live, chances are you already have liked that page. If not, please feel free to do so. You can also find replays of this on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. You can get to our YouTube channel by either going to YouTube and searching for Own Buffalo. You can also go to ownbuffalo.com, click the YouTube button, and that'll take you directly to our YouTube page. We're still trying to hit that 100 subscriber mark over there. Please do your part and throw us a subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Last but not least, if you haven't grabbed a free 30-minute consultation with me, you can do that over at ownbuffalo.com as well. These are unprecedented times that we're in right now. If you need assistance navigating through this with your tenants, with your clients, just need some advice, grab a free consultation call. I opened up a bunch of slots on my calendar to help as many people as possible. Jump over to desktop view here real quick. You can see I've got a couple of appointments available for tomorrow. And then for next week, we have several appointments available as well. So take advantage of that. If that's something that would be of use to you, certainly feel free to take advantage of that. Grab a free 30-minute consultation and we'll chat. I will say that we had a consult earlier this week with a gentleman who reached out. He was confused as to how the forbearance programs and everything we're working with regards to mortgages. We were able to point him in the direction of some information that we had compiled, and he was based on that information. He went to his servicer and was able to get his situation resolved. So, we might not have the answer for every question. We might not be the ultimate person you need to speak to, but at least we can get you going in the right direction, and that's ultimately our goal. So we're going to talk about a few things today, as I'd mentioned. I don't want to make the whole episode about coronavirus, because I think everybody's talking about it right now, and I think that that's not really what everybody wants to hear anymore. I think people are kind of in need of a break. But I did want to mention a lot of people are sharing their collection statistics for the month of April. I did want to mention we're currently sitting at 80% collected as of yesterday, close of business, with another 4% in either payments pending, meaning an ACH or a credit card payment that hasn't cleared to our account yet, or with payment plans. So we do have some tenants who haven't communicated with us yet. We're doing our best to reach out to those tenants, and hopefully we can come to some kind of a resolution with them very soon. I actually expected our collection rate to be probably, by the time we got to the 10th of the month, and I use the 10th of the month as my earmark because that's when we do our end-of-month accounting for our clients, I kind of expected us to be at the 20 to 30% delinquency point by the 10th of the month. So we're a little bit ahead of where I expected us to be for the month of April. What is the month of May going to look like? Nobody knows. We'll just have to wait and see how things pan out over the course of the next couple weeks here and see where we wind up. We'll start looking at May once we get through the April collections. So the important thing was we had a plan going into this. And we executed that plan. We are executing that plan. Tenants and owners both very appreciative of it. It's all about communicating now with your tenants and owners and letting them understand what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, making sure that everyone understands the process so that you can move forward. Communicate is probably one of the most important aspects of what you could be doing during this time. That being said, when I was drilling into the statistics of our delinquency list, I noticed that out of all of our delinquent tenants, only one of those tenants was run through our credit and background, our tenant screening process, if you will. All of the other tenants were either inherited when we took over a portfolio from another property manager, and we don't necessarily know what their screening criteria are, or other situation would be someone bought a property that had tenants already living in it. Those tenants hadn't been screened by us. All that being said, it seems as though the real key, at least as far as I'm concerned, from where I'm sitting, the real key to this has been having good tenant selection criteria up front seems to curtail a lot of the issues that you may be experiencing when it comes to collecting rent. Not just during, this is probably not the greatest example because we're in the middle of a pandemic and everybody's being impacted. But on a month-to-month basis, when it comes to rent collection, we found that by having a good set of tenant screening criteria, it's made our collection process a lot easier, i.e. we don't have to chase tenants. So that's all I wanted to say about, rent collection and coronavirus for this week. Let's move on to our first question of the day. Should you buy an investment property right now in this climate? I've been getting that question a lot, and I wanted to point out a few things that are going on in the marketplace right now so that people understand kind of what the current situation is, what the current business climate is in the real estate market here in Buffalo. And some of this will apply to other markets as well throughout the country. Really, I'm just talking about the Buffalo market at this point. Short term, or actually, I guess this is actually a point all the way across New York State. There are short-term restrictions on real estate agent, real estate broker activity. That being said, the current guidance as of last I knew, and the guidance has changed 2 or 3 times for real estate agents and brokers in the last week, so bear with me. The current guidance is that we're only permitted to do virtual showings or things in the field that would not require us to interact with a member of the public, a buyer, a seller, an appraiser, etc. So I can go and photograph a property. I can go and shoot a video at a property. I can do a 360 virtual tour at a property. All of those are fine. I can't physically show a property to another person. I can't walk through the property with another person. So we're embracing it. We're doing what we can. Fortunately, on our apartments, we have video walkthroughs on all of our apartments, and most of our apartments also have a 360 virtual tour as well, which makes it a lot easier for people to kind of see the apartment without physically walking in the apartment. It's something to consider. It's a way to leverage your technology to make your life a little bit easier, or to help you in a situation where you can't be where you want to be, which is basically all of us right now. Banks are still lending. I spoke to 3 different lenders yesterday and asked them the flat-out question, are you guys still writing new business? And the answer was yes, with a giant asterisk next to it. Everybody still wants to lend right now, and when I say right now, I mean this week and the next couple weeks. The biggest focus is on the EIDL, the economic impact loans, and the 3P loans, the payroll protection loans. That's the main focus of just about every bank right now, is processing the fire hydrant of requests that they have pending right now. It just open fire hydrant, water pouring out everywhere. They're so backed up on those applications that's going to take a minute to process first. Seems to be their priority right now, because that's what they've been told to execute by the government. And after that, they are going to be going back to focus on mortgage lending again. So are banks still lending? Yes, banks are still lending. I do expect that we're going to see the criteria tighten up a little bit in terms of what they're going to accept for loan to values or incomes or things like that. I'm sure we'll have another update on that in the near future, but banks are still lending. One point I wanted to make sure was very, very clear is to understand what you're buying. So in a time like this where you have limited ability to physically inspect the property yourself, you're going to have to, kind of lean on the team that you've built around you. You're going to have to lean on your home inspector, and you're going to want to do some deal analysis to make sure that the deal works for you. Home inspections, there's a lot of home inspectors out there, and there's good home inspectors and there's bad home inspectors. Talk to more than one inspector before you schedule your home inspection and try to get a feel for how they operate. Make sure that is what you're looking for. Check Google reviews, check with other, talk to your agent. Your agent will more than likely have several different home inspectors that they've worked with in the past that they can recommend a list of a few, so that you have a few that you can call. Make sure that you get a home inspection. I always recommend to clients, especially if they're an out-of-state client, they're not physically seeing the property before they purchase it, get a home inspection and read through that report so you understand what it is that you're buying. That being said, don't let nitpicky things kill an otherwise good deal. If there's little things like some chipping and peeling paint on a window sash or something like that, It's one thing if it's a furnace that's not working. It's another thing if it's, this light switch needs a cover on it. Don't lose a good deal over nitpicky things, especially in this market. Just be mindful of what you're buying. That being said, I wanted to mention deal analysis. Understand your numbers going into the property and tinker with them. I have that deal analysis spreadsheet that I can send to you via email. Drop us a message in the comments, either here on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll get that over to you. Run the numbers on your property and understand what the property is going to cost to operate, what the property is expected to return. Play with your rent figures a little bit. If rents drop by $200, does this property still cash flow? If I take out one unit altogether for a 12-month period, does the property still cash flow? Play with your numbers. Make sure that you're comfortable with the deal that you're buying before you move forward. Be ready to buy. Talk to a lender. Get your pre-approval. If you're looking for a residential, something in the 1 to 4 unit range, get your pre-approval. Have that ready because that's going to be important. The lender's going to want to see a variety of documents, tax returns, this, that, the other thing, to kind of get you to that pre-approved stage. Go through the process, get pre-approved, because your agent's going to want to see that before they spend a lot of time working with you anyway. They want to know that they're working with a qualified buyer. If you're a cash buyer, get a bank statement prepared, lack out your account number, show that you have X number of dollars available in line of credit or cash or whatever you're using for your purchase. Have that ready, be able to send that to your agent so that they understand that you are a serious buyer. But be ready to wait. The market is not moving at a fast pace at the moment. A lot of people are still trying to figure out what they can and can't do. Trying to figure out, how do we execute an appraisal? How do we execute a home inspection? How do we execute a final walkthrough? How do we actually sign the closing paperwork? It's taking a little bit of time, but the process is ironing itself out. It's not going to be quite as quick as a traditional real estate transaction. In Buffalo, you can do a cash transaction, usually 30 to 45 days. Plan on adding 15 days to that. If you're looking to do a mortgage transaction, we usually tell people 45 to 65 days on a mortgage transaction. Plan on adding another 15 to 20 days to that because you're working with more people. There's more, there's more places where there could be delay. So just be prepared to wait. Keep that stuff in mind. And should you buy an investment property? Yeah, if you know what you're buying, feel free to buy. Understand that there might be some market corrections in both pricing and rent. Plan accordingly. But if you feel comfortable buying right now, there's no reason not to. Next question that we pulled, this one was from, I think, the Rent Prep for Landlords Facebook group, but I went ahead and blocked out the name on it. I purchased a property where a family died 2 years ago. Do you need to tell renters this information? I'm going to give you the New York specific answer on this because this is one of those things that will vary state by state. In New York State, you do not have a duty to disclose a murder or a death in the home. Any kind of death in the home, whether it's a murder, a suicide, a natural death, none of that has to be disclosed in the state of New York. One thing that is interesting that has to be disclosed in the state of New York, and I think I might have already mentioned this on a previous episode, or maybe it was back when Eric and I were doing Ask a Property Manager together with Rent Prep. One thing I do want to mention is if you have a property that has paranormal activity and you've used that property to generate revenue from said paranormal activity, you have to disclose that the property may be haunted as part of your disclosures process. I don't remember the case or anything behind that. If you Google it, I'm sure it'll pop up. But that is one thing that you do have to disclose in New York State, kind of a weird thing. One thing to keep in mind is that if you don't disclose it to the renters, if the neighbors are aware of the situation that happened in the house, they may notify the tenants on your behalf. So it's up to you whether you want to disclose it or not. Chances are they're going to find out about it regardless. Really, more often than not, all it takes is a simple Google of the address, and chances are it'll pop up as a news story or something like that. So it's up to you, at least in the state of New York, it's up to you if you want to disclose it. That being said, you probably are going to want to think about disclosing it regardless because they're going to find out from the neighbors or what have you. We had that exact situation occur, as a matter of fact. We had a property, still have that property, in South Buffalo that we manage, and there was a death in the property, natural causes. and we hadn't, we didn't disclose it because there was no need. It was a natural death. There was no, suspicious circumstances or anything, and the state doesn't require it. Well, no sooner had the new tenants moved in than we got a phone call because one of the neighbors went over and told him, somebody died in that unit, right? So they're going to find out regardless. It's just a matter of, are you telling them on the front end or is a neighbor telling them on the back end? So keep it in mind, just something to think about. Next question. I think this was pulled from one of the other landlord groups on Facebook. So again, I blocked out the name. What and how with walkthrough videos? How are you creating these? Don't overthink it. If you've got a cell phone, you can shoot a video. It's very simple to shoot a walkthrough video. If you need references, my YouTube channel is littered with them. It's a very simple process. Hold the phone, first of all, I will mention this, hold your phone horizontally. Please don't hold your phone vertically. Hold your phone horizontally to get the best video. Go into the settings on your phone's camera app and set the video quality to as high as possible. Make sure that you aren't blocking the mic as you're walking through and doing a voiceover. You can do the entire process right on your cell phone. Just walk the property from beginning to end, describing things as you walk through it, point out things that you like, stuff like that. From there, say, the video saves on your phone. You can upload it directly to YouTube. You can upload it directly to Facebook with a couple of button presses. Don't overthink it. You don't have to have a ton of production, expertise or anything like that. Most of the first walkthrough videos that I shot were shot on this cell phone and uploaded right from my cell phone with very little video editing. Now, if you want to start getting fancy and getting into video editing, there's a million different things that you can do. One thing I will mention is if you don't want to get into video editing, but you want to fancy up your videos a little bit, head on over to Fiverr, Fiverr.com. We've used them. It's basically a site where you can go and post a gig and somebody else can respond and say, yeah, I can do that. Or you can go and find a specific person by doing a search for gigs offered. There's a ton of video editors out there. You can find somebody that works well with you, can do what you're looking to do. And it's not terribly expensive. I mean, I don't think I've ever paid more than $100 for anything that I've had done on Fiverr. To give you an idea of some of the stuff that we've had done on Fiverr, like the graphic that you're looking at on the screen right now, that was all done by Fiverr. All of the graphics that you see on our broadcast, all of that stuff was done on Fiverr. The logo, I think we had someone on Fiverr do. So there's a lot of things that you can get accomplished on that website for a small sum of money. Definitely a cool website to check out if you want to make a fancier video walkthrough. But if you're just looking to get a video out there so you can show an apartment, the simplest way to do it, record it on your cell phone and upload it to Facebook or YouTube. Actually, I think both Facebook and YouTube offer a little bit of video editing stuff on the back end when you upload a video as well. We typically do all of our editing prior to upload. So that's kind of where we come from on that. But don't overthink it. I mean, just shoot a quick video. Nobody has to see the ones that you don't like. You can shoot as many times as you want. It's a digital cell phone. It's a digital camera. Delete the ones you don't like. Upload the one you think you did well. But don't be afraid to do it. Get that information out there. Next question. Dealing with odors in an apartment. So this is one that pops up pretty frequently. Whenever we have move-outs, there's always some kind of a lingering smell. Not necessarily a bad smell, but just like a lingering odor from the previous tenant. Sometimes it's cleaning chemicals, which is great. Sometimes it's cigarette smoke or pet, which is not so great. What's the best for removing odors? There's no stains or areas of misuse, just a lingering pet or last tenant odor. Painting walls, clean everything with vinegar and water. I hesitate to use plug-ins since I feel they're harmful to our lungs. Using bad air sponge jars or I'm going to say, I think that's Citrus Magic only. I think that's a cleaning product. Couple of things that we've used with good results. You can, just to try to take the smell out of a place, because it sounds like you're cleaning the place pretty well. One thing you didn't mention is if there's any carpet in the property. If there's carpet, you should probably have the carpet shampooed with a truck mount steam cleaner. And the reason I say a truck mount steam cleaner is because they're going to do a better job of both saturating and extracting the water and soap from your carpet than what a rug doctor or a Bissell is going to do. So I always recommend spend a little bit of extra money, get a professional to come in and do the job if you have carpet. A lot of times they can add either, if they think that the odor is in the carpet, they can add like an odor killing enzyme to their wash, or they can spray something on the carpet after to kind of eliminate an odor. You got some options there. So that's if you have carpet. Other tactics that I would take, you can get boxes of baking soda and leave them open in every room of the apartment to try to absorb some of the smell. You can open all the windows to clear the smell out that way. I've also, in some circumstances, used big bags of like lump charcoal. I've literally, in some apartments, taken a 10 by 10 tarp and opened it up on the floor, split a bag of lump charcoal, not like the Kingston briquettes, but like the actual true lump charcoal. That will do a lot to absorb smell as well. And you can do that in a couple of rooms just to kind of try to absorb smell that way. And then finally, as a last resort, I would recommend an ozone generator. You can get those on Amazon, relatively inexpensive, under $200 for a lot of the regular units that are out there. And what you would do is plug that in and let it run for, a 2-hour cycle, and then the apartment has to sit for, I usually say at least however long your cycle runs, let it sit for at least that long after as well, just so that the oxygen can go back from ozone back to standard oxygen, kind of neutralize everything. So ozone generator is a good thing to take smell out of apartments. We've used that for heavy cooking smells especially. An ozone generator is really good at taking heavy cooking smell out of an apartment after you've already done your scrubbing. So you're going to have to go through and clean everything first to make sure that you've eliminated any possible contaminant to like reintroduce the odor. And then go through with either your baking soda, your charcoal, or an ozone generator to kind of kill whatever leftover smell you might have. So that pretty much wraps up our questions for this week. Guys, I do appreciate you taking the time to tune in this week. It's always fun for us to do these. We'll do a quick plug on our social once again here at the end of the show. We do appreciate you joining us today. New episodes of Ask a Property Manager come out every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. That means our next episode will be next Wednesday, April 15th. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/buffalo4closedhomes. Subscribe on YouTube, grab the link over at Own Buffalo, or grab your free 30-minute phone consultation. Link for that is over at ownbuffalo.com as well. If you enjoyed this content, or if I brought some value to your day, please drop a like. It helps other people find us, other people just like you, and we want to get this message out to as many people as we can. So if this content brought some value to your day, all we ask for is to throw us a like. We really do appreciate it. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to drop them in the comment section. We do watch those comments. We do respond to those whenever possible. And if you ask a question, it may be featured on the next episode of Ask a Property Manager. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.